Saturday the 24th of September 2016 marked a significant day in the town of Stoke, as a day packed full of music, dance, craft activities, art exhibitions and poetry took place at a variety of venues across the town centre.
Where these shoes go all lucid, clap that Kansas like magic, take 'em back to the blueprint.
The event marked the launch of the Stoke Art Map. Funded by the Arts Council, the map highlights the numerous arts-related organisations around the town. This relatively small town on the border of the Midlands and the North has recently been experiencing somewhat of an artistic phenomenon. Prior to 2013, the only arts-related establishment in the town was a small framing shop. 3 years later, there are now at least 50 artists and arts organisations working in shops, offices, studios and warehouses in and around the town centre. So many, in fact, that an art map is pretty much a necessity to work your way around them. I spent the day walking around the Stoke Art Map and enjoying the launch celebrations, but as I did, an intriguing question came to mind. Why has all this creative activity centred upon this small town centre? To answer that, we first need to take a brief geography lesson. Stoke is one of the 6 towns that make up the city of Stoke-on-Trent. Confusingly, the town's official name is Stoke-upon-Trent, but it's not the city centre. That's called Hanley and is a couple of miles north. Confused? Well, you're in good company, but you get the general idea. This is an outlying town more famous for its pottery factories and football connections than being a hotbed of creativity. So, how did it all start? I spoke to ArtMap project manager Liz Perry, and she told me how the local annual arts event, the London Road Festival, played a key role.
One of the things that they did was open up a space in the town called Art Stop, and what that was about was opening up a empty building in the town centre and putting different art activities on in there. It was very successful. It could be seen as a bit of a catalyst for using these empty spaces that we have.
Since then, numerous artists and arts organisations, both large and small, have arrived in the town. The most recent being the Akava Studios, which itself is a home to a further 30 artists and was celebrating its official launch day today too. So why did the post-industrial background of Stoke become such an attractive artistic proposition? Here's one of the artists in question, Belinda Latimer.
What happens in any area where it feels like there is some kind of deprivation and emptiness and the soul has gone? I think artists are drawn to those spaces as a source of creativity, but also feeling that they are needed there to help the area and to inspire others and to create somewhere for other people to go that is inspiring too.
Darren Washington was one of the first artists to set up in the town, establishing Gallery 116 when he combined his photography business with a much-needed space for artists to exhibit their work. He thinks the bottom-up approach has been a key reason for the artistic growth.
I think the thing with Stoke is, with what's happening here at the moment, it's happening organically and it's not being forced upon the communities. So I kind of feel like now it's sort of working because it's more, we're working from ground up rather than getting investment come in and developing something that's just got really high expectations and then it sort of drops, whereas I think we're kind of growing it and building it rather than it just being plonked straight into the town.
Another important factor in the growth of this sector has been the innovative approach of some of the artists who've set up here. Like Darren, Gabrielle Gay has also set up in the High Street and created a hybrid of business, art and collaboration with others.
Valentine's Curious Closet is a vintage curiosity shop. We sell vintage clothing, homeware, vinyl records, but we also have an exhibition space so that we can showcase the work of local artists. And we hold a few events as well because we want to be very much part of the community. When we moved here 3 years ago, there weren't as many arts organisations, and very slowly they all kind of moved into Stoke, and there's very much links between all the different places. So it's been great to see it kind of grow and the buzz grow even more, because when we first came here it was we had Rubber Soul Records and we had kind of quite a few collaborations with like the charity shops and just trying to make things happen. And then very slowly other organisations have moved in and they're making things happen there, so it's really great to see.
Today the focus was literature, as the Humble Book was celebrated as part of the activities.
So we've been doing Books Are Brill, which is an exhibition by local artist, or Stafford-based artist Sam Mace, and it's about how words and books can empower. And so we have been not only had the exhibition, but we've let the themes and ideas of the exhibition seep out onto the streets. So it's been actually written onto the streets. We've had poets performing. I've written a poem specifically for it. So yeah, we've just had letting everything seep out on the streets from the exhibition, because I think it is important that art is not just for those who are interested in art. I think it's for everyone, so we've just been performing to everyone at bus stops, sitting on the floor, in the rose garden, in shops, in antique shops, just everywhere. We've just been spreading a bit of poetry and a bit of art.
Of course, innovation comes in many forms, and the artistic invasion has also attracted artists at the cutting edge of technology. Creatives working in digital video, audio and web-based areas are all represented in the town. But perhaps one of the most surprising discoveries on the art map was a robotics company. Sam Freeman works with Kai Longshaw at the Blueprint Robotics Studio and told me more about their work.
So I'm a mixed media artist. I work with technology and do quite a lot of educational things like Code Club and things. And Exeter University contacted me, as well as other people in the area, looking to get more tech into schools to get people more excited about science and mathematics. So Blueprint Robotics have been brought in to develop kind of prototype equipment, and I'm here as a researcher, and today I'm demonstrating some installation art I've done using one of Kai's robots.
As we heard earlier, collaboration has also been a key factor in the growth of Stoke's art scene. Pilgrim's Pit is another artistic endeavour on the map that demonstrates this approach. Shiv Makalia explained what the pit was all about.
We're a cooperative of artists ranging from musicians to painters, poets and makers, sculptors, doers, producers, that sort of thing. And we all came together in November last year to collaborate and invite people to collaborate with us. And the space is a pit for that to happen.
Never see a man get greedy till he falls out with the world.
Okay, so today we've had a number of performers from the local area who have been showcasing their talents between 12 and about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And then from 3 o'clock onwards we've had a bit of an open mic, so it was perform for your pint, so you could come and tell us a story or sing us a song, and in exchange you get a drink for that. And it's about celebrating everyone's abilities and what's available in the local area.
And there's such a shame, yes.
Whilst many of the artists who have come to Stoke have been individuals or small organisations, larger players have also got involved. One such organisation is B Arts, who moved their entire operation into the town. Today they were celebrating the launch of the map with some baking, turning what was a former garage into an artisan bakery. Susan Clark was running activities with colleague Hilary Hughes on the day, and she explained about the project and how they've been celebrating the launch.
Okay, so we've been doing all sorts of things today. We've been making bread with people. People have been dropping in, and we've been shaping all sorts of different loaves, inventing new flavours and combinations of things. We've made a harvest sheaf over here with a little harvest mouse in it, out of bread. And we've also been dealing with the kind of overflow of apples and marrows and all sorts of things that you get at this time of year. So we've been making a roast plum jam and also a super marrow chutney, which Hilary tells me is all her own invention, but looks suspiciously like Branston pickle to me.
Tell us your thoughts on the art map being produced and being launched today.
I think it's a great idea because I think what it does is it really shows off all of the artists who are working in the area. There's an extraordinary number of us who have based ourselves now in Stoke, near to the railway station in this little cluster. And I think that shows that there's a real excitement and real buzz, real interest in the town, in working collaboratively, in working, near to each other. There's all sorts of things that will spring out of people just being next door to each other, or in some cases people are even sharing spaces. The artists who are in the studios, the Akava studios in Spode, I know are already kind of crossing over one to the other and working together. Cultural Sisters and Letting in the Light sharing the Art Stop, and that little row of places just along there by the from Darren Washington's gallery through to Art Stop is a great little run of shops. It's like a mini version of Camden, But so I think what it does is clustering the artists together like this gives the area a particular flavour, gives the neighbourhood a real flavour, and I think that's what we need.
Arts organisations from elsewhere in the city have also started new projects in the Stoke town centre area. The Airspace Gallery is based in another nearby town, but they've taken the opportunity to get involved with the arts revival in Stoke town centre too. But, as you might expect, it's not quite what you'd expect. I'm standing in the Spode Rose Garden, which is celebrating its official opening as part of the Art Map launch today. You can hear the band on the stage behind me, and artists have set up around the garden, demonstrating their skills to the public. Yet, not so long ago, this space was derelict. Empty since Spode closed in 2009, it's now been restored with a beautiful design that pays tribute to iconic Spode artistic heritage. Plus, it's now a vibrant community space. Locals can sit here and relax. There's even a community food area where people can take home the food grown there for free. And behind all this restoration is not the local authority, heritage or conservation charities, but artists. Anna Francis is from the Airspace Gallery.
It's 3 years of work, which started with us at Airspace Gallery just thinking this little space needs some love and attention, and 3 years later we have a beautifully renovated space and a team of people who've been involved in developing that space, and to launch it we just really thought this could be part of something much bigger. So with the 43 Akava studios opening soon, we thought let's join those things together and make it a really big celebration of all of the amazing cultural development that's happening across the town of Stoke. And then when we were thinking about that, we thought, in a way, Spode was responsible for the development of the town here, and now Spode hopefully is going to be a bit of a catalyst for the new development that's happening across the town. So let's actually celebrate all of the amazing projects that are kind of springing up and developing in the past few years in the town, which is where the idea of the Stoke Art Map came from.
Of course, this influx of artists has seen a rise in the demand for studio space. The Majestic Studios project has been helping address this by providing low-cost space for creatives to use in the town. It's backed by national charity East Street Arts. Studio manager Chris Reeder explained how the organisation works.
Basically, East Street are their actual main base is in Leeds, and they've got various short-term leases, temporary leases with vacant buildings, and these then they rent out, and then they open it up to artists to come and use the space, and that helps artists to actually make their work. So they can get a subsidised space, they've got room to work, they can think and they can communicate and hopefully collaborate on projects. And East Street Arts, varied art practices go on in their spaces basically. They have things to do with music, dance, radio, sculpture, painting, all sorts of creative activities go on in their spaces.
The sound and smell of making and cooking pancakes fills the air in Majestic Studios for the launch of the Art Map today. The majestic artists have transformed the space into a continental bistro with French crepes, wine, cheese, music, dancing, poetry and, of course, exhibiting art created in the space too.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together in applause for the Ooh La La Cabaret.
While some artists have been happy to use unusual places such as empty shops and old garages, other artists want more traditional studios. We've already referred to the arrival in the town of the Association for Cultural Advancement Through Visual Art, or ACAVA to use its slightly easier abbreviated name. Earlier this year they opened a suite of studios to address the demand, and its official launch took place during the ArtMap celebrations. Here's ACAVA's Ben Eastop.
There are 43 studios here of varying sizes. Some are 500 square feet, the bigger ones, in this area, and there's some smaller ones down to about 150 square feet down the corridor. They kind of cover a variety of needs, really. We have ceramicists and people doing robotics, designers in this end of the building. And then we have textile workers, painters and so on down in the smaller studios.
And what's the take-up been of those studios so far?
It's been fantastic. Yeah, we finished the building work in April, and in the few months since April we're now 3/4 full. So the demand has been brilliant, really brilliant. Yeah, so we're hoping to pretty much fill them all up by the end of the year. What's been brilliant here is, and even in the time I've been coming over the last 2 years, is that there's a fantastic energy of people wanting to set things up, and there's a potential here because there are buildings where you can do things. There are opportunities here for small arts organisations to get set up and get developed. So that, I've just noticed that just in this area around Spode Works, and I think that's been brilliant. We're based in London, as I've said, and it's far harder there to do the kind of things that can be done here. You need more money. Properties are harder to get. There's more kind of rules and regulations. Everything seems to be more difficult in London, but here I think there's a fantastic potential.
Of course, potential is all very well. Turning it into reality is another issue altogether. Many other areas in the UK have tried to do this and failed. So why has it worked here? BArt's Susan Clark again.
I think it's about taking the things that seem like a problem, like empty shops, that sort of thing, and thinking who are the people who could get in here and bring some vibrancy and some life and some activity back into these places. Because we know, we've seen it so often before, haven't we, that after the artists have been in, after they've used them as workshops or studios, then very quickly comes, the coffee shop, and then after the coffee shop there's more shops, there's the deli, the bakery, as you can see today, and all of the other shops, and sort of the things that bring real life to a local neighbourhood centre will come back, they'll return. It won't be the same sort of thing that was here before, perhaps, but there will be people coming and using the high streets and using the local neighbourhood again as a proper centre.
The motivation of local people also seems to be an important factor. Here's local artist Chris Dunn.
People have realised that nobody's going to do it for them in Stoke, and they've got to do it for themselves, whereas in some of the bigger cities they've got the council are involved in Stoke, don't get me wrong, but they seem to be perhaps more involved in the bigger cities, and there's probably a budgetary reason behind that, but it seems like in Stoke-on-Trent a lot of people have realised that they need to find ways of doing it themselves without that big funding there.
As Krish points out, funding from the council has not been a big factor, but that doesn't mean that the local authority hasn't had a role to play. Here's ACAVA's Ben Eastop again.
I think the approach the council's taken is very good. They're looking at a longer term, 20-year vision for Spode Works, and taking opportunities when organisations like ACAVA come along, and working in partnership with those organisations to set up different kinds of creative businesses. So, I think it's been a sensible approach. It's not been a huge top-down approach. It's more of a bottom-up approach, and I think that is a lesson. I think it's a lesson nationally, really, to have a much more grassroots, community-based approach, and hopefully that in the future it's not just become another regeneration story like we have in London, where big developers take over, big corporate companies move in, they make land prices so expensive ordinary people can't afford to even live there, let alone work there. So we don't want that to be repeated in Stoke or other parts of the country. So I think there is a lesson there that we can try to do things differently.
It's clear from the council's perspective that they value the vibrant art scene within the town too. Here's Deputy Leader Abigail Brown.
I think it's absolutely brilliant and obviously is very supportive of our bid for UK City of Culture in 2021, but also of course bringing life back into Stoke town itself and of course into Spode, the factory site. Stoke as a city has been founded on the perfect relationship between arts, science and industry, and it's fantastic to kind of see that bubbling up again really through the artist studios, through a lot of the things that we see going on in the town, through the bid for City of Culture. This is what made Stoke-on-Trent, and it's great to see that we continue to make Stoke-on-Trent in this way.
But of course the last word has to go to the various members of the public and artists who I met whilst navigating my way around the art map today. What do they think of the Stoke art map?
A brilliant thing. It's very positive and really exciting that there's in one small town that we can have an amazing choice of things to do, all of which are really creative and full of energy.
Really enjoy it to come here to Spode, and it's quite amazing how the variety available, and even the people coming here, they're surprised by the size and everything. So there's a lot of potential here in Stoke.
I'm an artist. I came here to do my degree, but I work full time. I don't get the time to practice as much as I want to, but seeing things like this encourages me to want to join in a little bit more, and that's good. And it's also, people can network and find out about things.
Pretty good, pretty interesting. It's pretty good day so far. Everybody enjoying it, and the art map really interesting. I enjoying it. Everybody joining from the public, and all the artists are joining it as well.